Hi! Well, it's far too warm to be inside the studio today, so I thought we'd come outside, it's a beautiful day, and have a chat out in the garden. So as I'm filming this, it's the end of June. We're halfway through the year, do you believe that? But I think this is a brilliant time to have a bit of a recap on where you're up to with your saxophone progress and how you've been getting on with your playing over this past year so far. And I thought to help with that process, I could tell you a bit about what we've been doing inside Sax School with our members over the past 6 months. It's been a pretty busy year so far. So, we kicked off January 2022 with a practice challenge with our members, and loads of our students were digging into our 30-day challenge and revisiting that habit of practicing every single day. It really made a difference, I think. But to supplement that, we had some fantastic masterclasses as well. I did a session actually for our members where we dug into how to structure your practice really well. And I think that's an important skill that so many of us overlook when we go into learning saxophone. We had a bunch of other cool things that happened in January too. Fred Vigda from our tutor team, he did a session for members on how to boost your tone. I love Fred's sound. He's been touring with Average White Band for like 20-something years. He's got a massive sound and he's sharing some advice on how he gets that sound with our members. Now we kicked off a brand new series in January too from Joel Purnell. He's one of our Sax School tutors here. He's a great jazz educator. In fact, he teaches at the Leeds Conservatorium of Music. And he started this new series called How Jazz Works, where he started right at the basics with the fundamental skills and things you need to understand about jazz. Also, we heard a great story from one of our members, Sue, who has been studying with Sax School for a while, but she lives in France, in northern France. She started learning saxophone later on in life. But the big problem for her was that there's absolutely no teachers near her. So it was great to see the progress that she's made in just a couple of years by learning with Sax School and getting involved with our community. We had a great month in February with our members because we were digging into DJ Sax, and to help us with that, we had a special guest masterclass with a fabulous DJ Sax artist called Jason Whitmore. He's based in Southern California. You want to check him out on YouTube, he's amazing. And he came in and described to our members in this long masterclass how he approaches DJ Sax, how he prepares for performing, how he works on a new tune. It was absolutely amazing. We also started a new series of masterclasses with our members in February from Dean Hilson. He's one of our Sax School tutors based in Australia. Now Dean's a great blues and ska sax player, but he's also a great educator for music theory, and so he started a new series called Practical Music Theory for Sax Players, and the first part of that was out in February. Now one of the student stories that really stuck out for me in February was our student David Kressel. He's been learning with Sax School for a little while. David's a pretty interesting guy because he is actually a really great player. He's got a proper like Stan Getz sound, and he's playing jazz standards and recording them, sharing them out in our community. I mean, it's astounding. He's a really great player. But what's really interesting about David is he was playing at a high level in high school and even into university, but then he kind of took a left turn and did a completely different career. 56 years later, he's come back to Sax School and he's brushing up his skills and learning even more and getting back into playing and sharing those videos in our community. It's just great to see how he's enjoying using the resources in Sax School, even at a high level, and then inspiring our other members too. Amazing. We had a packed month in March. We were focusing on classic jazz, and we had an amazing masterclass with a legendary player, Scott Hamilton. We had a great session with Scott where he was explaining all about his background and most importantly his approach to soloing, to thinking about chords, to thinking about melodies when he's improvising. It was actually a fantastic session, packed with information and very inspirational for our members too. But lots of other things were happening in March for our members too. We had another installment from Joel Purnell in his How Jazz Works series, and this time he was sharing some jazz harmony secrets, so I think really unlocked the possibilities for lots of our members. Dean Hilson did another theory masterclass for our members too, and that was all about scales this time. Actually, probably a pretty dry topic, but Dean was breaking down the structure of scales and helping people to understand how to think about your scales, so then you can practice them better and you can apply them better into your playing as well. Now, something else that happened in March was the second installment in a series of masterclasses from an amazing young British saxophone player called Alex Bone. I mean, he's an award-winning guy. His latest album is amazing, all over the radio. But the series that he's been doing for us in Sax School is about songwriting, specifically songwriting for saxophone players, because I really love the songs that Alex wrote for his latest album. And so he was breaking down that process in a series of masterclasses for us here at Sax School, and the second installment of that was very interesting because he was talking about how to structure your songs and how to create interest in that structure. I think it was really interesting. We shared an amazing story from one of our students in March called Sibylla. She's in Australia. Well, really cool thing about Sibylla is she actually started learning saxophone by borrowing her daughter's saxophone. So her daughter had been learning sax at school, and then she borrowed her daughter's saxophone, joined Sax School, and started learning with us. Sibylla's doing really great, and as a mum, she was really enjoying connecting with the other mums in our community as well. I can't believe all of that is only January, February, March. April, we had even more going on. April, we dug into rock and roll saxophone. We had a really fun challenge song for our members called King Twist that the members were digging into, and we were exploring, you know, that style of King Curtis, that classic down and dirty gutsy rock and roll sax sound. It was really cool. We had some masterclasses to help with that too, and one of them was actually from Fred Vigda. He did a masterclass all about how to create your own backing tracks, which I thought was really interesting. We had Alex Bone back for another installment on his songwriting for sax. These are all like hour-long masterclasses. And then Joel did the fourth installment of his How Jazz Works series. You really want to check that out. I love the student story that we shared in April. It was about a student called Paul. What's so cool about Paul? He's such a lovely guy, right? And he is living his dream, because a couple of years ago, his dream was to learn how to play saxophone, to join a ska band, to play at a music festival. And guess what? In 2 years, he's done all of that. It all happened during lockdown for him. And this year, he's, I think, played at quite a few ska festivals with a ska band that he's helped put together. He's really into ska music. And I mean, just to hear him tell his story and be so enthusiastic about the progress that he's made on his saxophone, honestly, it's amazing. So you might be getting the idea that there's quite a lot that goes on inside Sax School every single month. It is pretty amazing. But I'm curious to know, what's your big win on saxophone this year? Something you're really proud of? Let me know in a comment down below. So in May 2022, we dug into pop songs on saxophone. And to help us out with that, we had a special masterclass with a fantastic pop sax player. He's a YouTuber, he's based in South Africa, and he's called Brendan Ross. I love Brendan's playing, and you really want to go check out his channel. But Brendan did a fantastic masterclass with us where he broke down his whole process of how he creates pop song videos for saxophone. So taking the melody, transferring it onto saxophone, bringing it to life, creating your own character and interest in the way you're playing it. It's a really great masterclass and got all of our members really digging into that style. Now, of course, there are a bunch of other masterclasses that happened that month too, but one thing that really stood out to me was a story of one of our members in May called John. And John is a farmer. He lives in Wales, and it's a really rural area where he lives. There's no teachers anywhere nearby, but he was desperate to learn saxophone. So he joined Sax School, and over the last year and a half, 2 years, it's amazing for him. He's not really interested in going and playing in community bands. He's not interested in joining a band, playing on stage. What he wants to do is to play music for his family and for himself. And the beautiful thing is, with Sax School, just learning inside our community, inside our member area, he's been able to do that. Even though he lives in a really remote area. It's a great story. If you want to check that out, that's on our blog. So that brings us up to June, and it's been another packed month in June. We've been focusing on hit song Saxophone this month, and the members have been learning a really fun challenge song called Heartbreaker. We've also had a fantastic masterclass with a legendary guest. So we had Charlie Deschamps. He's a sax player with Hall & Oates. He's been touring with them and recording with them for like 40 years. But it was brilliant to hear from him about his whole career, his whole experience of playing at that top level. I mean, back in the 80s, he was probably one of the most famous pop sax players on the planet, right? Because they were such a popular band. So it was really great to hear about his approach to playing, about his approach to performing at that high level as well. Alex Bone joined us again for his final part in that Songwriting for Sax series, and this month he dug into how to take your arrangement, your finished arrangement, and to add some pro tips in there to twist it and make it even more interesting. And Dean was back with another installment in his Theory for Saxophone Players course, and this time he was looking at how to create two-part horn arrangements, a really practical thing that loads of our members are doing. And there was a fantastic story from one of our members called Larry that we shared this month, and Larry is another guy that's just doing incredible things with his playing. He was playing at a really high level too in high school and in university. He was even considering becoming a pro musician, and then he took a left turn and went into law. Few decades on, he's coming back to saxophone, and he's using the more advanced lessons in Sax School to dig into his improvising and to also connect with other members in the community and do collaborative videos. So he's been sharing some amazing videos where he's recording with other musicians in Australia, in New Zealand. It's really, really cool. Now, when I write all that down, it actually looks like quite a lot of stuff. It's been a busy 6 months, but we've got a really exciting rest of the year coming up too. We're digging into gospel saxophone, we're digging into classical saxophone, we're digging into big band saxophone. There's some great masterclasses coming up too. I hope you enjoyed that little peek behind the scenes at what we've been up to inside Sax School, but do let me know what you've been working on in your playing too. And the most important thing though I want to show you is that Sax School is helping so many people because we do so many different things inside the member area. We look at lots of different styles, we look at lots of different levels. And if you are looking for a way to get more excited about your playing, to get inspiration and to get support not only from the tutors but also from the community of other learners around you, then check out what we're doing in Sax School. There's a 14-day trial that's still running as I'm recording this. There's a link down below. That's definitely something, you know, stick your toe in the water. Try the 14-day trial. See if it's right for you. There's no obligation, but you might really love it. And I'd love to be sharing your story of your success over the next 6 months or the next year or the next 5 years inside our community too.